WrestleMania 42 was truly a weekend to remember. 6 new champions were crowned, history was made, and moments were definitely shared for the entire WWE universe to experience. Some of the big moments that we saw included the return of of Bianca Belair, and of course Paige. And this entire weekend for WrestleMania was again was truly something to remember, and we're going to be talking about the fallout from WrestleMania 42. And I can honestly say that with every single match that was on the card for both nights, there is definitely going to be a lot of fallout. So let's kick off night one. The Usos and LA Knight battled IShowSpeed and the tag team champions Logan Paul and Austin Theory. Obviously, we knew that IShowSpeed wanted nothing to do with Logan Paul. He wanted nothing to do with Austin Theory, and he wanted nothing to do with LA Knight or the Usos. However, IShowSpeed, being him having been cursed by Danhausen, got himself into some deep shit. Literally, he got himself into some deep shit, and excuse me. And in spite of how things turned out on night one of WrestleMania for the tag team champions, I think it's pretty safe to say that IShowSpeed at some point could very well return to Monday Night Raw and potentially go after Logan Paul, kind of like what Logan Paul did with The Miz after what Miz did to Paul at WrestleMania 38 a few years ago. Excuse me. In Dallas, Texas. Sorry, I couldn't speak. I'm like so tired right now. In Dallas, Texas, after their victory over the Mysterios. And then as far as like what the future could hold for LA Knight, I think with the vision now in the rear view mirror of the megastar, I think it's safe to say that at some point, yes, we are gonna see LA Knight go after championship gold. Yet I don't know if it's going to be Roman Reigns and the World Heavyweight title, spoiler, or if it's going to be Penta and the Intercontinental title. Again, spoiler. It's hard to predict, but I think the Raw after WrestleMania tonight is definitely going to have a lot of surprises. And then as far as the Usos go, you know damn well that they ain't gonna stop until they become tag team champions once again. So they'll be eyeing up Logan Paul and Austin Theory yet again. Moving on from that, I will say though, the entire weekend just was not. It just was not the Vision's weekend. It just was not their WrestleMania, especially with the tag team champions having to lost their match, with Brock Lesnar having to lost his match, which we will get to that a little later on. It just wasn't Paul Heyman's weekend, to say the very least. But again, it will be the Raw after WrestleMania, and I think we're gonna be in for a lot of surprises. Jacob Fatu defeating Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match. We knew that they were gonna tear the house down, and boy did they ever. They tore the house down like it was nothing. I think with the SmackDown after WrestleMania coming up later this week, I think it's pretty safe to say that Drew McIntyre is probably going to show up and attack Jacob Fatu from behind, and to be like, oh, this was complete BS. Your victory was a fluke. Blah 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 blah. Just spewing a bunch of bullshit, trying to get another match with Jacob Fatu so he can win, and he could then move on. But we know this rivalry is definitely going to be far from done. But Jacob Fatu did say on the post show, what was it, this past Saturday? He said on the post show that he was going to be going after championship gold on SmackDown. But the question is, will it be Trick Williams or will it be Cody Rhodes? Who knows? Who knows? Let's be real, right? The women's tag team titles, the tag team division for, in the women's division has truly been red hot. I mean, come on. Come on. You've got the Irresistible Forces. You've got the Bellas. You've got Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. You've got Bayley and Lara Valkyria. You've got a lot of tag teams on, not just on Raw and SmackDown, but even also on NXT, Evolve, TNA, and even also AAA with Los Toxicas. They are all fighting for a shot at those women's tag team titles, now in the hands of WWE Hall of Famer Brie Bella and the returning Paige. Yes, you heard me right. After 8 years away from WWE, Paige returned to WWE with a vengeance, and man, she killed it. She ate that match. She ate it like it was nothing. A Rampage to Bliss picked up the victory, and for the first time ever, both Paige and Brie Bella are the only two women in WWE to hold the Divas Championship and the Women's Tag Team titles in their career. Actually, that's not entirely true. Charlotte Flair became the first woman to do that. But Paige and Brie are definitely going to be taking the women's tag team division by storm, and I can honestly say that we could may well see a return match tonight on Raw, which could potentially lead to a heel turn for the Bellas. But let's be real. I think they're going to be holding on to those tag titles for a while, and I think when Nikki Bella is cleared to compete, I think Paige could may well hand her half of the tag titles to Nikki, which is possible, which is very possible. But it's going to be a little interesting to see how long they hold the tag team titles, because if you guys remember on the Raw after WrestleMania last year, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez regained the tag team titles from Becky Lynch and Lara Valkyria, which sparked the rivalry between Becky and Lyra over the women's Intercontinental title, and that was something. That was definitely something. Speaking of the man, I think with AJ Lee having left WWE for a little bit, I can honestly say that Becky Lynch is going to be having a major vice grip on the women's Intercontinental title for a pretty long while. Well, the question is, who will take up that challenge? Honestly, it could be anybody. It could be Lara Valkyria, because now that she's a 3-time champion, Becky Lynch, the clause that was put on Lara Valkyria no longer stands. However, some people believe that it could very well be be resurrected because now Becky Lynch is once again Intercontinental Champion. So if it does end up being Lyra Valkyria, does that clause remain in effect? Possible. Who knows? Who knows? But with Becky Lynch now as Intercontinental Champion, there's going to be a long list of women in the locker room that are going to be eyeing up the man, and there's a few that I can see chasing after that title. Obviously, Lyra is one, Maxine Dupree is another, and potentially Natalia. Possible, but we'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell. But it's gonna be a very chaotic reign for the man. Speaking of Becky Lynch and the Vision, Seth Rollins is definitely not done with the Vision. I can guarantee you that. After losing to Gunther, there are so many questions that have yet to be answered. One question in particular is, what is the favor that Paul Heyman owes Gunther? Could it potentially be a shot at the world heavyweight title? Maybe it could be a shot at the Intercontinental title because let's not forget, Gunther is owed a rematch for both of those titles. After losing the IC title to Sami Zayn a couple of years ago in Philly, some people must have forgotten Gunther never got his rematch because he was too focused on the King of the Ring tournament, and he went on to become World Heavyweight Champion. And let's also not forget that when he lost the world title to CM Punk last year at SummerSlam, he never got that rematch. So it's essentially a double-edged sword. The favorite could potentially be a rematch for the Intercontinental title or a rematch for the World Heavyweight title at some point. But again, it's Paul Heyman. He's so methodical with his planning. I think it's safe to say that come Backlash, we could very well see Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins, which was the match that was supposed to have taken place at WrestleMania. What can I say about the Judgment Day, right? Like, we knew that Liv Morgan was going into her match with Stephanie Vaquer with a trick or two up her sleeve, and that trick up her sleeve was in the form of Roxanne Perez and of course Raquel Rodriguez. And what I find so interesting about the whole dynamic of Liv Morgan as Women's World Champion is the fact that all three of those women, Liv, Raquel, and Roxanne, they all challenged Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World title over the course of the last year, ever since Vaquer defeated Io Sky at WrestlePalooza last September for said Women's World title. From that point up until this past Saturday, both Raquel and Roxanne challenged Vaquer for that title, but they both came up short. However, because of those two, Liv Morgan is now Women's World Champion, and Roxanne Perez definitely distracted the referee in any way she could, but she also distracted the fan base on social media with her, if you know, you know. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Roxanne Perez always knows how to break social media. Enough said. Moving on. But this could potentially mean that either Raquel or Roxanne is gonna turn babyface and attack Liv Morgan. They could potentially attack her, and we could very well see a rivalry throughout the summer between either of those two and Liv Morgan. But because that Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan had been tag team champions multiple times in their careers together, I think it's safe to say that I think it's pretty obvious that it's going to be all eyes on Roxanne Perez. Possible? Absolutely. Bound to happen? We will just have to continue to watch Monday Night Raw every single week and find out. As far as the main event of night one, let's just be real, right? Like, this was a match that was never supposed to happen. It was supposed to have been Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Randy Orton becoming WWE champion. The fans wanted to see it. Even I wanted to see it. But at the same time, the fans also wanted to see Pat McAfee leave professional wrestling altogether. And here's the funny thing about Pat McAfee, right? He started his WWE career, so to speak, around the time of his days in NXT, working the NXT Takeover kickoff shows alongside guys like Sam Roberts, Peter Rosenberg, and of course Vic Joseph, beefing with Adam Cole, baby. And he started to work with WWE full time during the pandemic in 2020, literally during his rivalry with the Undisputed Era, and then ultimately after War Games, he left WWE for a bit, came back in 2021, the night after WrestleMania, and from that point up until now, he has been with WWE. He's been a part of the WWE family, and I talked about this a little bit in my video from last night. I talked about how Pat McAfee was the reason why Michael Cole had been more energetic, more open with his commentary, and has been more honest, if you will, with his commentary, talking talking shit, just having fun, raising hell, doing a little bit of yeeting, a little bit. It was all because of Pat McAfee, and the fact that Pat McAfee has turned his back on the wrestling business, on the fans, on Michael Cole. It's so mind-boggling. And he would literally sacrifice his time in WWE just to see Randy Orton become a 15-time champion. Now while I do agree that yes, Randy Orton did deserve to become WWE champion, I think it's safe to say that we needed Cody Rhodes to retain his title in order to get Pat McAfee out of WWE. So at some point, yes, we are going to see this match take place again, whether it's at Backlash, whether it's at Money in the Bank. The possibilities are out there, but when that match takes place, I think we are going to see Randy Orton become a 15-time champion, and it's going to be a reign that nobody is going to ever forget. But moving into night two, come on, Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar. This was the ultimate case of big meaty men slapping meat, or as I like to call it, the Big E special. I think what drove this match to happen was according to multiple sources. Apparently, it was Brock Lesnar's idea to choose Obafemi as his opponent for WrestleMania Sunday last night, and it was also Brock Lesnar's idea to also lose to Obafemi. And it's weird because we expected Brock Lesnar to retire at SummerSlam later this year in Minneapolis. We all expected it. But the fact that Brock Lesnar lost to Obafemi in under 5 minutes is absolutely wild. And here's again, this is another point that is so ironic, right? I find it ironic that Brock Lesnar has been in multiple matches that last like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, like 40, like almost an hour, if you will, where considering the fact that this was one of the few matches in his career where it lasts less than 5 minutes. His shortest match ever was against Kofi Kingston in 2019 when he became WWE champion, again defeating Kofi Kingston, destroying Kofi Mania. Which, I mean, to be fair, Kofi's run it ran its course, but I feel like it should have had a much lengthier reign. But it is what it is. But we did see Brock Lesnar take off his gloves, take off his boots, left him in the middle of the ring. And the fact that the fans were chanting, "Thank you, Brock! Thank you, Brock! Thank you, Brock!" It proved that the fans were behind the beast for all these years, and it proved that it didn't matter whether he was a babyface or a heel. Brock Lesnar was always going to be the biggest star in WWE. He was truly an icon of the Ruthless Aggression era and of the modern era of WWE, and he definitely deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. But as far as like what could be next for Brock Lesnar, I don't know if that was his way of saying, "Hey guys, I'm gonna retire," or if he's gonna truly retire at SummerSlam. Whatever the case may be, Brock Lesnar definitely deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. Excuse me, and it could potentially happen at next year's Hall of Fame, which is possible. But after his victory over Brock Lesnar, it's pretty obvious that Obafemi is definitely going to be the next Brock Lesnar of WWE, and he even said it on the post show last night that he wants Roman Reigns. I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't want Roman Reigns? I mean, the guy is the new World Heavyweight Champion. So, we'll see. We will see. The ladder match was truly something to remember. We knew that Penta was coming into this match with a massive disadvantage. He wanted the ladder match. He got the ladder match, and in spite of the major bumps that he took, including that Mexican Destroyer onto JD McDonough on top of the ladder, somehow Penta was able to overcome all the odds and walk out still Intercontinental Champion. And I think we could be looking at probably one of the most dominant Intercontinental Champions ever. So it's gonna be fun to see who else will challenge Penta for his title. But again, it is the Raw. It will be the Raw after WrestleMania tonight. That title is gonna be in for a lot of surprises. Trick Williams and Sami Zayn. I mean, Sami Zayn we knew Sami was gonna be a transitional champion. Not that I hate it, but I'm glad that Trick Williams got his WrestleMania moment, winning his first championship on the main roster, being the U.S. title. I think we could be looking at a reign where I don't know if he's going to continue the U.S. Championship Open Challenge is, or if he's gonna be the type of guy that will defend the title on under big circumstances. No one knows. It's hard. It's hard to say, but I think that'll be up to Trick Williams and Lil Yachty, because we saw Lil Yachty help Trick Williams become U.S. champion. But let's be real. Sami Zayn is gonna want to become champion again. Carmelo Hayes is gonna want to be champion again. So going into Backlash next month, we could be seeing a triple threat at some point. Only time will tell. But speaking of time, let's be real. Dominic Mysterio, he brought it upon himself. Let's be real, he fucked up. He lost to the Demon in a street fight, and I think we can all agree that Dominic Mysterio is gonna want another match with Finn Balor, and it ain't gonna be pretty. Who knows? I mean, it's possible that Finn Balor could want to challenge Dirty Dom for the AAA Mega Championship. It's possible, but I think because that Dirty Dom has to deal with El Grande Americano, well, at least, one of them anyway. I think Dom is probably going to be showing up to Raw tonight and cutting a promo saying that his victory, that Finn's victory never should have happened. It should have been Finn Balor and not the Demon. Let's be real. The rivalry between Dom and Finn Balor it is far from done. There's no telling how far this is gonna go. You never know. You never know. But Dom fucked up. Let's be real. Dirty Dom fucked up, and he's got no one to blame but himself. As far as the WWE Women's title goes, I think Rhea Ripley definitely deserved to become WWE Women's Champion, because she had not been a singles champion in over a year. The last time she was a singles champion, she became Women's World Champion on the Raw premiere on the Raw premiere on Netflix. And it's interesting because at that time she ended up becoming a transitional champion to Io Sky. And while it is true that yes, they ultimately did become practically sisters, we saw Io Sky show to the world where her loyalty lied, and it did not lie within wanting to become a single champion. It lied within the fact that she wanted Rhea Ripley to become a world champion, and now Rhea Ripley is a 4-time champion, technically 5-time champion with the fact that WWE had retired the SmackDown Women's title and brought in the Women's World title, but still a 4-time champion nonetheless. But I think Jade Cargill is definitely not gonna let that one slide, and she's gonna do whatever it takes to get that rematch. But Rhea Ripley is definitely gonna have a very dominant reign as WWE Women's Champion. But as far as the main event, it truly was an instant classic between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Two guys who hated each other but had a love for the business. They may have hated each other on a personal level. On a professional level, the respect definitely was there, and I don't know. I'm a bit biased with Roman Reigns being champion again, solely because when he did become how can I say this? When he became Universal Champion during COVID, he was showing up full time for practically almost a year. But after he became the undisputed champion, unifying both the Universal title and the WWE titles, he ultimately became part time. He went part time, showed up a few times out of the year, and only defended his title under the biggest lights imaginable, which ultimately became the big five of WWE. Obviously the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, the Elimination Chamber, um, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. He only showed up during those big matches, and when he lost to Cody Rhodes in Philly, I think that was the moment that Roman knew that he knew what he had done, and he owned up to his mistakes. And now he's become arguably one of the biggest baby faces in WWE. And now that he's World Heavyweight Champion, he's going to be showing up full time starting tomorrow night. And we're going to be in for a very, very fun reign as World Heavyweight Champion for the OTC. But here's what I find funny about Roman Reigns as the World Heavyweight Champion. I find it funny that he ends up going after CM Punk and the World Heavyweight title, considering the fact that Roman Reigns called the World Heavyweight Championship the number 2 championship. Literally, I think, what was it that he called it? He called it the secondary championship, the loser's bracket, if you will. Isn't that funny? Like that's so stupid. But you know what? That it is Roman Reigns. I think we're gonna be seeing a very fun reign for Roman as the World Heavyweight Champion. And I think with now that he is champion, already there's 4 guys that are going to be gunning for him. There's 5, 6. I would say there's about 6 people that are going to be going after him. LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Gunther, Braun Breaker, Obafemi, and CM Punk. Those are going to be the 6 that are going to be going after him, especially CM Punk when he comes back at 100%. But as far as like everything that we can expect for for the Raw after WrestleMania, we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of impactful debuts, some impactful moments that can ultimately shake the landscape of WWE, even though the landscape has already changed after this past weekend. But again, it is the Raw after WrestleMania. Anything can happen. But with that being said, that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, you guys want more WWE topic videos in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.